Hi everyone, and welcome to the Chat and Vibe series for the Vitality Festival, which is starting on the 31st of October. We've got an incredible lineup of 70 world-leading experts in the health and wellness field. We've got 9 incredible days of all amazing speakers talking about inspiring and motivating and educating everybody that needs it, particularly the frontline workers, but absolutely anybody. And we've got one of those incredible speakers here with us today, Michelle Vassallo. How are you today?
Hello, Tanya Levy. I'm very well. It's a beautiful day in Melbourne, and you know, spring's coming and everything's warming up, and so and kids are back at school. My grade 4's back at school. I'm great. I'm about 20 years younger than I was last week. So great.
I know, it's a little bit like that. When in Victoria, we're all celebrating the fact that the kids have gone back to school. I've still got one more home.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to be doing what you're doing today.
Okay. So for many years, I was doing something else completely to what I'm doing now. And I had a moment, an inspirational moment, interestingly enough, where I looked out the window of the workplace I was in and I thought to myself, please don't let this be all that there is. And I realized that the only person that was going to make that happen was me. So I made some massive changes. I sold my business and I decided to go and study remedial massage, actually. And while I was doing the course, I realized that there was a way better way to teach so much of this information to make it fun and accessible for adults, because one of the things about teaching adults is you've got to really have fun. You've got to engage people. You've got to invite people to their own learning journey. And that's what I wanted to do. And then I started writing courses and teaching and just dabbling a little bit here and there. And then I just pivoted into a whole new career because it was so fun and so successful, and people were grasping those keys that I was offering them to knowledge and walking through the door on their own and having amazing results. And every time that happened, it really blew my mind. So, you know, it's as much about what I learn from people as about what I have to share with people. And so being a teacher is equally, you know, educational as it is inspirational. And that's how I came to be where I am. And I was working for different universities and I just decided to go out on my own because I had things to say that I couldn't say in those particularly institutionalized spaces. So, you know, Rhythm Massage Development and Education was born, and it's really been a rocket ride ever since.
It's incredible. And I know that with all the current circumstances, you know, your work life has been challenged and you've really had to find a new normal for yourself and find a new way of taking what you know to the world. Can you just tell us a little bit about some of the challenges and what you've done to address those challenges as they've appeared?
Really good question. 2020 has been the most challenging year professionally I've ever faced. All of a sudden, all the classroom experiences that I was offering students, so every second or third weekend, I would either fly nationally or internationally. I'm actually supposed to be in Canada this time, actually, face-to-face classroom experiences and teaching. And so this current situation in the world shut all of that down. Travel gone, classroom teaching gone, and I wasn't sure how I was going to pivot. And then I realized that I still have great things to say, and there's a whole world of technology that we were not utilizing, you know, as we are now. So how can I write courses that are still going to be engaging and keep people interested in learning, which is my mission, and being inspired while I can't go into the classroom? So I started writing a whole lot of new courses in between homeschooling, which was another challenge in itself and almost brought me undone, which is so bizarre because teaching adults is way easier than teaching one 9-year-old boy who's just got no interest in online learning. So it's been, you know, he's been my greatest teacher and my greatest challenge this year. And if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be feeling as positive as I do about what I've got to say. So as humbling and as challenging as it was, it's probably also one of the greatest things that I've ever come through. So, you know, 2020, we've looked at all the negatives, but also there are positives about it as well, as long as you're prepared to engage in your own personal journey and also tap into what you've learned and what you know about yourself and how much better you are than you were before because of that journey. So yeah, it's been epic, mate.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think, I've known Michelle a long time, and one of her amazing skills is the ability to see opportunity and then be able to pivot and adjust to what's been going on inside around her. And I've really seen you doing this time as well. You've really pivoted, and you've taken this new course that you've got. Tell us a little bit about this new course that you're working with at the moment.
Okay. So I'm moving away from purely massage education because there's a whole world of people out there that are interested in different topics. And a moment of inspiration struck me, just like it struck you, actually. I remember you telling me about your inspirational moment for this festival, and now it's happening. So, inspiration strikes, and I was actually driving along under a railway bridge of all places, and this thing, Grow Your Mind Garden, popped into my head. And then I suddenly understood the 5 things that I wanted to talk about in Grow Your Mind Garden, which is my new series that's going to be released in my website. And, inspiration's actually the second topic. The first one was being resilient. The second topic, why inspiration matters, is what I'm planning to present at the Vitality Festival that's coming up. And everybody needs inspiration, and everybody is able to be inspired, even for the people that are sitting around going, I'm never inspired. Yes, you are. You've just got to know when the moment strikes and be prepared for it. Know how to utilize the inspirational moment. And that's what I really want to concentrate on in this particular talk. And then I've got some others in the Grow Your Mind Garden series coming up, the magic of motivation, simple self-discipline, conscious commitment. So all things that are going to make people or develop people in ways that are going to create lives where they're more engaged in their lives and they're less unconscious and more conscious of where they want to be and how they want to develop as individuals. Because at the end of the day, every one of us are responsible for our own learning journey. Sometimes we just need someone to point us in the right direction.
That's so true. And I know, inspiration comes from many different places. And I know in my own journey, I've always found that I've got people, I'm inspired mostly by people. And I've always found that it's a really good thing to have somebody or a few people around you that you're really inspired by, because you tend to lift your game in response to being inspired by other people. Can you just maybe talk a little bit to the listeners about that? Because I think it's really important. Some people are feeling really exhausted and deflated. And, we've got amazing speakers. People might find that they're inspired by different things. But just talk to us a little bit about what inspires you and, how that can work in terms of leveling people's energy up.
That's a real good question. Okay, so there are a few parts to looking for inspiration or having the moment strike you, and being around people who are inspiring is definitely one of them. I've been inspired by you, actually. I even spoke about this in my Being Resilient webinar. There's been times in my life, and you've known me for a long time, when I felt so low, probably like a lot of people are feeling now. And you've dropped little pearls of wisdom all along my path. And those things have been invaluable in reminding me that inspiration is possible, and I just need to open my mind and be ready. And I need to create a calmness in myself, which you've been, so motivational in helping me find, a calmness in my inner world, so that the pond is still, and I know when something drops into it. So you've been inspirational to me. And my garden is inspirational. Nature, I find, is really inspirational. Listening to great talks. A lot of the people that you've got presenting in this festival are really inspiring individuals. I've read some of their bios. I've looked at some of their work. Search outside yourself and wait for the moment. Be prepared by meeting other people and listening to other people and talking and reading. And then be prepared, because if you get yourself ready by being around people who motivate you and inspire you, the moment will strike and you will recognize it, because you've done some of the groundwork. And so really the whole of life is getting ready to be inspired. Being around my kids, being around my friends, the garden, inspiration's everywhere.
So true. And it's so true. And I think, finding that stillness and having that openness to receive inspiration. Like you said before, you know, you've got to be willing to receive it. And I think that's really important for people right now. And then once you've received it, even if you think that's the right thing, it's taking the action to follow up on that, you know, listening to that person or sitting under that tree. You know, those sorts of things are also really important, is that action, not just thinking that you'll sit there and, you know, the universe will bring things to you. It does, but you need to be able to level yourself up and step into that open door like you were talking about before.
That's actually the third part. If you break down inspiration into like a scientific formula, and there's a lot of research to support this, which I do discuss in the presentation. The three parts to inspiration are the evocation, so when the moment or the inner spirit moves you. The second part is transcendence, and transcendence means that you can see yourself outside of your normal capabilities, outside of the box that you've put around yourself in your everyday life. So the spirit moves you, evocation. Transcendence, I could possibly see myself doing this. But the third part of inspiration is the motivation to act on the evocation and the transcendence. So exactly what you said, yes, inspiration will strike, but if you don't move on it and you are not motivated to act, the moment will be gone. And what a shame, because there you've lost your moment. You know, inspiration needs to be enacted.
And, you know, it can be little steps, you know, little steps along the way, slowly building yourself up. I know for me in my life, the people that have inspired me, you know, you want to be like them. You know, we can use that mirroring to think, how can I be more like them? How can I use their strategies or their personality traits to align myself to be more like that? And thank you for mentioning nature, because I think for all of us, you know, with everything that's been going on through this pandemic, you know, we have been shut away in our homes or apartments. And I think one thing that's really important is, you know, people have been stagnated. Nature in this time has been thriving more than ever. There's more birds around, everything looks greener, and the flowers that are coming out are looking prettier. And I think, you know, everybody needs to remember that, you know, because nature is thriving, it's an incredible time to sit with nature and watch. There's so many amazing lessons to learn from aligning yourself to nature.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, the fact is that the Vitality Festival's kind of landing right in the middle of spring, a little bit past the middle, but it's the perfect time to renew and remind yourself that, you know, we all need to cocoon. We all need to hibernate. Winter is a classic example of that. And we've had a longer winter, personal, emotional, you know, energetic winters because of what's happened in the world than we've ever experienced before. And springtime is here and nature is bursting. And the only thing that really, like, great things that came out of this whole situation is the natural world is vibrant and alive. And it just takes a moment to see that. Even if you're in an apartment, there must be a tree outside that you can see has come to life. There must be a little family of birds that lives somewhere in your line of sight, and you can see what's happening with them. Animals, flowers, trees, it's all out there and it's all around us, and we're still allowed to go for walks. So get out there and take a walk. Be inspired by nature. And I actually presented this particular presentation at the beginning of the week for my own students. And I had an email from one of my students about 10 minutes after I finished the presentation. And he said to me, you know where I am? I said, where? And he goes, I'm out in my garden taking a walk. Thank you. It's just the key to the little door that you need to walk through to get inspired. That's it.
I love it. And, you know, inspiration for me is also a little bit about like seeds, you know, and you mentioned spring. And really through winter, it's almost like we're cultivating our soil. We go into hibernation and we're cultivating our soil. And then we come out and we find things that are inspiring for us or projects, and we plant those seeds. Yeah? And then we need to keep watering the seeds for them to grow. And I think, you know, this is an incredible time to find some inspiration. We are all emerging from this COVID cocoon. And I think, you know, if you're looking for some inspiration, Michelle's workshop will really give you some really great tools and strategies of finding that inspiration, finding those seeds that you can plant and then water, and so that they bloom into something bigger and better.
Absolutely. And because motivation is the third part of inspiration, I also dip into the science behind motivation and what are the things that will keep you motivated, because motivation doesn't come at the start. Motivation comes when you see results and you create rituals that propel you into the space that you need to be in to be motivated because you've been inspired. So not only is this stuff that I know about, I mean, we know about this stuff, but there's science and research behind it. For those of you that like to look a little bit deeper and have a research paper to reference to. So I've broadly looked at these topics and this topic in particular and tried to include something for everyone in there.
I love it. And you know, you're a real example of somebody who's taken information and you've lived it. You know, so whatever you're teaching, and knowing you as a dear friend of mine as well, you know, Michelle's a real living example of somebody who walks her walk, you know, walks her talk, and she's a real, you know, she's in living example of what it's like to find inspiration from different places, even when you're in the dark tunnel. You know, there is always that glimmer of light. Sometimes we need to wait for it a little bit.
Yeah.
But then other times, you know, it just comes and it knocks you on the head, and it's about being open and responding to it.
Absolutely. You almost made me a little bit teary there.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for coming along today to have a little chat with us. As I said, everyone, I can't recommend Michelle's workshop enough. She'll really give you some inspiration, and more importantly, she's going to teach you how to be inspired and tools that you can use in your life from today on. So really take the time, tune in. Wish you all the very best. I can't wait to see the rest of your courses as they appear. They're always so enriching and enlivening for my life. So a big thank you to all that you are in this world.
Oh, thank you so much. That's a beautiful like way to put it. I appreciate it so much. And, you know, for anyone who's watching, come along to Why Inspiration Matters. I promise to inspire you. And I really look forward to seeing as many people at this incredible festival as possible. I'm spreading the word. I'm sure there are so many of you that are spreading the word. And, you know, a big thank you to you, Tanya and Vicky, for the inspiration to move on your idea and make it a happening event and a possibility for so many people, because so many of us need this now. So a big thank you from me to you.
Thank you.